Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan?
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? Welcome to another episode of Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas, and I am Juan Ramirez. Let's get the business out of the way. If you are listening to us on the audio version of this show on the podcast, make sure you're subscribed, write us a review, rate us. It'll help grow the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments, and make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, Threads, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, how are you?
Juan, by the time everybody listens to this, it'll be the Ides of March. Et tu, Juan, et tu.
Oh, Amy, for us normal people, what are the Ides of March?
It's the 15th of March. You should be aware of them. It was part of Julius Caesar. It was when he got stabbed by everybody in, what was it, the Republic? They took him down and assassinated him. But he got warned on the way, and so the soothsayer told him, don't go. He didn't listen. He got stabbed by a bunch of people.
Well, Amy,
Nerd alert! Beware, beware. There is a nerd in the vicinity.
Hey man, someone's nerding out over here.
you can never say that this show is not educational. So, for those of you who were not aware of what the Ides of March are, resident nerd Amy Cuevas was here to explain that. So, thank you for that, and happy. Do I say happy Ides of March Day for you?
I mean, I like to celebrate it because I'm a nerd.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
You're a what?
Wait, before you play it, let me just give you my quick rendition of my Et tu Brute. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Stab, 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 stab. The end. End scene.
Oh dear.
Nerd alert! Beware, beware. There is a nerd in the vicinity.
Hey man, someone's nerding out over here.
Is that a real dance move? What you just did right now?
No, that was all the feet shuffling as they like scurried over to stab him in the back.
Oh wow, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. See, that was Marlon Brando as Mark Anthony.
Yes. And then that scene was also in Robin Hood Men in Tights when he asked them to lend him their ears and they took them all off and threw them.
That's disgusting. And unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent. Amy, how are you? Long time no see.
It's been forever.
It has been forever. So let's start the show the way we always start the show, with our base running blunders. Amy, do we have any base running blunders?
We do. So we have the cliffhanger from the last episode, and then we have a joint base running blunder that Juan will announce. But for those of you who were waiting with bated breath to find out if there was a London not exhibition game, but MLB game, there will be one June 8th and 9th. The Mets will play the Phillies at London Stadium. Now,
Okay.
would you care to share our shared blunder?
Yes, we have one. So when we last left you at this same bat channel and the same bat time, we had said that the Yankees were going to be playing an exhibition series in Mexico against those
They still are.
against the Diablos Rojos. Well, it turns out that there is another series that is going to be played in Mexico, but this one is during the regular season, and these games count, and it is between the Astros of Houston and the Rockies of Colorado. So I don't know why they're punishing the Mexicans by having them watch those two games, but there's a total of 3 international series that will be played in the 2024 season. Of course, the Dodgers versus the Show Pods in Korea, the Mexico series where the Astros and the Rockies will play, the London series with the Mets and the Phillies. Now, earlier in spring training, the Red Sox and the Rays played in the Dominican Republic, and those were exhibition games. So that's a base running blunder. We should have been more prepared for that. So again, we got picked off. We got picked off. So we're gonna have to start a new streak, Amy. I mean, we were doing so well.
0 days since last streak.
That's right, 0 days. So we have to start a new streak. Amy, let's start the show with something that I am super excited about, and that is the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, who are part of the Dodgers minor league affiliate. They, I think, now are lower A. They were changed a couple of years ago, so they are lower A. But this season, excuse me, for 3 days throughout the season,
3 days only. 3 days.
3 days only, the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes will be known as Las Chaquetas. Amy, do you want to explain to our listeners, our viewers, what are Las Chaquetas?
Okay, so quick backtrack for a second. When you texted me this earlier, before I got truly excited, I was like, they're going to be the Jackets? I texted my best friend and I was like, so when we look at the minor league, like some of them have like really funny names that they'll use throughout the season. And I was like, they picked the Jackets. And then I looked at your text and I saw that it was the Mariachi Jackets. And I was like, this is amazing. So thank you for the link.
No, and so basically what they're doing, this is all basically a unapologetic Mariachi Joe homage. This is really all the Rancho Cuca, but I think it is so smart, and it serves as such a reminder of the things that minor league teams have to do to get people to come out to watch minor league baseball.
It worked. I am going to 2 games now, 2 of the 3.
And this is the first time that you're going to be at a Quakes. You've never been out to Rancho Cucamonga, right, to see minor league baseball.
Correct.
So
yeah.
I have been there, and I mean, it is fun because it's such an intimate setting. The stadium is really slow. I mean, it's really small. So I know I don't have to tell you this because you are a woman who's prepared, and you either eat before you go to the games. But I will advise, because it's such a small stadium, and I do expect a pretty large attendance, the concession lines at Lone Mart Field are very, very long. So if you don't want to spend all your time in the concession line, eat before you go there. I mean, maybe support vendors. I hate to take business away from them, but it's just
I will eat before, and then I will buy a snack when I first get in.
It's just the last time I went there, I was just amazed because of how small it is. Literally, concession lines were like wrapping around the inside of the stadium. But what the what the Quakes have decided to do, and do you have?
I have it. I have it up.
Can you read it? Because I think they do a better job of explaining it than I will.
This makes me so happy. So it says, in Southern California, mariachi music is a treasured art form. Its reach extends beyond those who share the genre's cultural background. So when baseball favorite and Rancho Cucamonga resident Joe Kelly put on that mariachi jacket and later wore it to the White House, he wasn't just making an exceptional style choice. Rather, the pitcher was honoring the music's most esteemed qualities, many of which it shares with baseball: artistry, years of dedication to the craft, teamwork, and the privilege to put on such historically significant uniforms. The Chaquetas pays tribute to that legendary baseball moment, but more importantly, the people who revere it. Like Joe, Rancho's hometown team invites fans to Ponte una Chaqueta to celebrate the cross-cultural impact of community music and baseball.
So the 3 dates that they will be known as the Chaquetas are April 13th, May 16th, and July 19th. So not only are they going to be the Chaquetas, but they're also doing giveaways those nights, right, Amy?
Yes. So April 13th will be a Chaquetas jersey. May 16th will be a Thirsty Thursday. And then July 19th will be a Joe Kelly bobblehead. So plan accordingly.
Look, I have no interest in the bobblehead. I'm a grown-ass man.
Stop it. Stop it.
I'm a grown-ass man. I don't need toys. But I will tell you that April 13th game, when they're giving out the replica Chaquetas jersey, I'm very excited about that. I want a replica. And so basically what the replica jersey is, it is just the same like chaqueta that Mariachi Joe wore at the White House. but it has the number 99 and then it says Chaquetas across it. I love it. So it's not enough time for me to lose weight. So hopefully, I hope they have a husky boy size. If not, I'm gonna be fat boy in a little coat. Fat
Housekeeping?
boy and yeah. So for our listeners, if you guys know, you get extra points if you know what movie that's from, because in the words of the great David Wants a Taco, this is an exclusive Dodgers and movie podcast now. But Amy, I think this is brilliant marketing by the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes.
Within the span of an afternoon, I have tickets to both games and I have an alarm on my phone for when they start selling the hats. So, I mean, great job, Quakes. Great job.
Oh yeah, and the hats, those are going to be available for sale. And these are the hats that basically have somebody in a I don't even know. Is it Joe
It
Kelly?
looks almost like it's Joe Kelly in the outline.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
an outline of a pitcher wearing a baseball hat and wearing a chaqueta, and I love it. And look, if you guys ever get a chance, if you go on the minor league baseball website, especially with the merch, and you can see other teams' hats, I have to say they have minor league baseball has some of the sickest hats out there. Have you seen the Trash Pandas hat? Like
Yes.
Trash Pandas hat I think is awesome. Are they called the chanclas? The one that is
I think it's Albuquerque. I almost ordered a hat from there 2 weeks ago, and then I
they're
was
the
like,
flying
"No."
chanclas, right?
Yeah,
That's what
I
they're
think
called?
so. Yeah, I think it's something like that.
I have a soft spot in my heart for the city of El Paso, Texas, and the Show Pods affiliate is actually down there, and they're the Chihuahuas. And I almost bought that hat just because I was very endeared to El Paso, Texas. But look, great. Go out there and get tickets now, guys, because I really feel. And you had already said, Amy, there's already like limited tickets, at least for the Chaqueta replica jersey giveaway, right?
For both games, I had a hard time, like, finding seats where I wanted to sit. There's still some, but, the April 13th game definitely has less seats than when I was looking at the July 19th. And then if you want a thirsty Thursday, I mean, go drink some beer.
Yeah, go drink some beer. But I want my Chaqueta replica jersey. I can't wait to get my hands on that. So let's go to the next topic, Amy, and that is Major League Baseball is going to be having their first annual spring breakout. And it's perfectly timed to coincide with spring break. Amy, when I first told you that I wanted to talk about spring breakout, what was the first thing you thought of?
Well, I thought it had to do with the Korean games this weekend, the exhibition games. And so I did a quick pivot and realized that, like you said, it was more like the futures game during the All-Star break. So news to me. So yeah, now I know that we are playing against the Angels in Tempe. So
Well, but I have to applaud Major League Baseball because I give Major League Baseball a hard time a lot of the times because I feel like they drop the ball, especially when it comes to marketing. But I think this is actually very smart of them to promote the young players. And for those of you who still have not heard what the spring breakout is, Amy, do you want to give them your newly minted knowledge of what spring breakout is?
it's essentially, and this is the inaugural one, so now I don't
Yeah.
quite feel so bad that I didn't know about it. It's an event that allows each system to showcase some of the best talent in the minor leagues. So we're going to get to see all of the prospects that are in our so Dalton Rushing, our new friend, he doesn't know it yet, but Josue De Paula is going to be also playing probably. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
And Jackson Ferris, the newly acquired prospect that the Dodgers got from the Cubs of Chicago in the trade for Michael Bush. He's going to be playing in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement. I think this is a great way to promote being aware of these names. I feel like sometimes the casual fan, it doesn't take the interest, but if you are a baseball fan, I think this is a great way for you to learn about your team's farm system and what do you have on the farm system? Because one of the things that came out as a result of this Gavin Lux uh shortstop drama is it's become very obvious that the Dodgers really don't have any candidates in the minor league system, strong candidates for shortstop. And I know they've acquired a couple of shortstops in these trades, the Sweeney that they got from the Yankees, but it's one of those things. I think it serves as a really good reminder of how hard it is to get a shortstop. So when you have a good shortstop, you need to find a way to keep him. And look, I'm not going to go ahead and retry the cases of Corey Seager and Trey Turner. You know, Corey Seager, he got that bag, and I don't blame him. At the same time, I understand the Dodgers' concerns with him in terms of his history of injuries. And Trey Turner, look, his family wanted to live on the East Coast. I can't blame him, for that. You live where you want to live. And as a major leaguer, and he has gotten to a point in his career where he has the luxury where he can choose where he wants to play. But it has just really, when you see the guys that are going to be playing in this game, Dalton Rushing is a catcher. Jose de Paula, who's still extremely young and is still going to be years away from us probably seeing him in the major league level, is an outfielder. Jackson Ferris is a pitcher. I don't see, shortstops there. And these are the big names. These are the guys that I believe are listed as in the top 10 of the Dodgers prospects. These are the ones that are being highlighted that are going to be playing in this game. So, and the fact that every major league team is going to be doing this, that they're going to be participating in this spring breakout, I think is again, I encourage them because I think they finally did something right, Amy.
That's the one thing. That's it.
I guess they've done other things right. You're right. I need to stop being so negative. I always seem to just focus on when they fuck things up, but
well, speaking of fucking things up, we're about to talk about something where here you can thrive on some negativity. I may even join you down there. There's an article in The Athletic, came out a couple days ago. I don't know how many people saw that JD Davis essentially got released on waivers from the San Francisco Giants. And the article itself is about the loophole that the Giants exploited, whatever word you want to put in there, to essentially not have to pay him the $6.9 million that he was awarded in arbitration. So instead, because they released him and there's this loophole, he's going to get about 1.1 million of his contract. And now he's a free agent. And I'm sure we're going to touch on, some of how free agency has affected this. But Juan, when I sent you this story, what were your initial thoughts when you read it? Because I know I had mine.
I totally, honestly, the first thing that I read is what I learned is how ignorant I am about this process, because I knew that major league contracts were guaranteed, but what I didn't know was the difference. And this is the difference that I'm talking about. Negotiated major league contracts are guaranteed. Arbitration contracts are not guaranteed. And that's what the loophole that you're talking about, that the Giants exercised in this, because JD Davis won his arbitration case and the Giants weren't able to come to terms with him. They had 30 days to release him and give him termination pay. So his termination pay is that 1.1 million. He won, I guess initially I think the Giants were offering him 6.6 and he beat them in arbitration and it was 6.9 million. So this is, I think, where you have the problem with it's like, it seems like it's a little vindictive that you beat us in arbitration. So as a result, we are going to release you and we're not going to give you the 6 million, close to 7 million that you need. You're going to get 1.1 million and take that and like it.
And good day, sir. So part of this is credited to them signing Matt Chapman. And so now JD Davis doesn't really have a spot on the roster, which again, that kind of goes back to some of the Boris clients and the way free agency has gone, because if I'm not mistaken, Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell still haven't been signed.
As the time of this recording, They have not.
Mhm.
So if something breaks after you guys are watching this show, at the time that we were recording this, Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery and JD Martinez
Yes.
are still free agents.
Yes. So with that in mind, because Matt Chapman got signed so late into spring training, now they've released JD Davis. And so some of the concerns in the article are like, well, if this continues to happen until the next CBA can be negotiated and this loophole can maybe be fixed a little bit, how is this going to position other players? Because as far as JD Davis was concerned, he won arbitration, he's in spring training, he thinks he's going forward with the season, and now he's without a team. And so how does that we've got the one issue of all these free agents that still haven't been signed, haven't really been practicing with a team in spring training with the season about to start. And now you've got people who could potentially exercise a loophole and let go of some of their arbitration candidates, and now these guys not only get less of what they were promised, now they're, now they have no team. Now they've got to try to scramble to find somebody if they want to play this year. So it's just it was a very interesting to read the article, especially kind of the he said she said back and forth. From the Giant side, it's a business decision. From from JD Davis's side and with his agent, it was very not professional the way that it was handled in their opinion. So it was just an interesting read to see that loophole could really impact a player this much, because that's 5.5 million he's missing out on.
And before we sit there and say, hey, don't cry for JD Davis too much, there have been reports that the Mets are interested in reuniting with JD Davis. JD Davis played with the Mets before being traded actually to the Giants. Look, I also want to be fair to fantasy football champion Farhan Zaidi, because as cold as this is, Amy, this was also a business decision.
And that's what I'm
This,
saying. Just business.
he went Michael Corleone. He went Michael Corleone, and then it's like, this isn't personal, Sonny. This is strictly business. And he cited the fact that they had players already on the team that fit the same profile as JD Davis. In particular, he cited Wilmer Flores and Jorge Soler. So of course he became expendable at that time. I just think, while it's cold, Amy, I don't know if you can technically say that he did anything wrong, and it is just one of those loopholes that I hope the players do go ahead and revisit this at the next collective bargaining agreement. But I also feel like there was a period of time where I thought the players union was the strongest union in this whole country. But the last few negotiations, I feel like the players union has been losing a little bit of their power, but I would love to see the players union address this issue, because I do think that's fucked up. I mean, it is not a negotiated salary, right? It's not a negotiated salary because my employer doesn't want to pay me what I'm worth. So if an independent party says, no, you are worth this much, I feel it should be treated the same way as a guaranteed contract. That's the biggest problem that I have with this story.
And that's, you and I agree there. You are 100% correct that
I'm sorry, what? What'd you say?
I'm sorry. You were 100% correct. You're correct.
My headphones are really bad, so sometimes I can't hear. What are you like? What'd you say?
You're correct.
It's amazing to me. Every time you whisper, I hear you so clearly.
Crystal clear. You're correct that he didn't do anything wrong. The language in the CBA allows for him to do this. I just think like there are all kinds of things you can do. Like California is an at-will hire and fire state, but it's still messed up to let somebody go, like even at the end of the day after they worked all, like there are still things you can do that are technically correct that are still not cool. And the fact that, even if they didn't agree in arbitration and they were off by a couple $100,000, like this guy won. And yes, it's not guaranteed because of that loophole, but man, it's cold. It's so cold.
Has that ever happened to you, Amy, where you've been fired in the morning and then they ask you to finish your shift?
I've never been fired, but I have seen it happen to other people, and I'm just like, dang, you let so and so go at the end of the day. Wow.
It's always I know it's happened to some people I know too when they've pulled them into the office at the end of the day, and it's like, damn man, you'd let them work all day. Those of you listening to the show, if you're watching the show, if you know an experience like that, please let us know. I do think that is so fucked up. Especially, if it's a layoff or whatever, just tell them as early as possible. And I've always wondered, like, what would I do? Is it like a sense of pride where it's like, look, this is a statement, a judgment on my work ethic. If I decide to say, screw you, I'm not going to work for you, you're firing me. I mean, do I do okay? If you're going to pay me for the day, then I might as well earn it and, actually do work.
You're gonna lock me out of all of my accounts anyway. Like, what are we doing here?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a real tough situation for him. But again, I guess this is the perfect thing, that this story in particular, that you just want to say, beware of the Ides of March, right, Amy?
100% beware the Ides of March. Oh my God, at two, San Francisco Giants stepped.
Nerd alert! Beware, beware. There is a nerd in the vicinity.
Hey man, someone's nerding out over here.
I before we leave this topic, Amy, I want to ask you, do you think this will actually have an impact on the Giants organization with future players? Are they going to look at how they did Davis dirty? Because I already feel like the Giants have always been like, here, take our money. And people are like, no, thank you. Like, in the end, if they're going to offer you the money that you're looking for, regardless whether it's the Giants or what they've done to other people in the past, if you're getting your money, you're going to take it. Or is that wrong? Are people going to sit there and go, hey, man, I saw what you guys did to JD Davis, and that was cold?
I think that it can be true on both sides for players. This actually got brought up in the article, and it was posed to Farhan Saidi, and his counter was basically like, "No, this is a great organization. Ask the players. They love being here." I think for your top-notch players, you're still gonna have like the JD Martinez's who will be like, "No, no thanks, I'll pass." Because they can afford to do that. But these are especially like arbitration cases. Like some of these people don't have a choice. They're going to be there or not. Um, and I think in that case, that's where you just take the bag. Like, all right, what are you offering me? I'll do it. I may not love the way your organization runs itself, but what other choice do I have if I want to play in the show? And I mean, there have already been this article referenced it. I think it was Brandon Crawford who had some negative things to say about the organization when he left, and now he's with the Cardinals. And then there were some other things when Bob Melvin came over that came out about the previous manager, Kepler, and just saying like there was no
Kapler.
structure. Kapler,
Kapler. I
Kapler.
don't want
Thank
you
you,
to get a base running error on that.
thank you. Thanks for picking me
That,
up.
that was me yelling back.
And I do it every time. I'm like, is it Kepler or Kapler? And I went with my gut and it was wrong. But essentially they've had some issues. So I don't know if asking the players is the right way to go in this route. But at the end of the day, I think people are do you have the principles and you walk away and hope another team picks you up? Or is it in some cases where, what, if it's arbitration, like, well, I'm here, I'm under team control for X amount of years. So yeah.
I mean, to your point, we're talking about a difference of 300,000. Uh, does that seem petty? Now I know at the end it's not really 300,000 because they ended up saving over $5 million by releasing him. But it just does seem like this is again more along the lines of a baseball decision where it's like, look, we ended up signing these other people. We don't need you anymore.
Well, that's a
And
fair point because if he had agreed earlier, then we wouldn't be in the same situation. And is the extra, few 100,000, is that worth it? Where now we wouldn't be in this if he had agreed. Um, I mean, for reference, like Kike Hernandez has a $4 million contract for the year. So if you're getting 6.5 versus 6.9 at that rate, like, I don't know. I'm not in that situation fighting for what I'm worth. So that's a little harder for me to say. I can look at it from the outside and think like, wow, that was kind of a cold decision, but I understand it. It was business. Like I can understand it on different merits, but on the different angles, there's still like good and bad on all of it.
And correct me if I'm wrong. 6.9 is what the arbitrator made the decision for, but we don't know how much JD Davis was asking, do we?
So I think initially they passed on the original offer. So some of what was said in the article, and again, this is more of the he said, she said stuff, where Davis said after the fact he would have been willing to accept 6.55 million prior to the hearing, but the way that the Giants handled their negotiations, they let him know an hour before the deadline. His agent got back 10 minutes before the deadline, "Hey, we're looking for something with a 7 in it." And then because it hit the deadline, the Giants have what they call a file and trial, and so once that deadline hits, they won't negotiate anymore. And so whether they would have been willing to meet, there's some contention on, hey, they only let us know an hour before the deadline versus, or hey, it was a couple $100,000 difference. Why didn't they just take it? So either side has their points of why they think this should or shouldn't have worked. And at the end of the day, he didn't end up with the salary he wanted.
I would be fascinated to know if this is how other teams operate. Like if they literally like an hour before filing or going to a hearing, they're reaching out. If this is just something that is exclusive to the San Francisco Giants, then you just gotta sit there and go, "Ugh," but if a lot of Major League Baseball teams and I have a tendency to believe, like, I would not be surprised at all if the Colorado Rockies operated this way, where, an hour before deadline, "Hey, man, this is what we're willing to offer you," but I can't say that for a fact, so I would love to see if anybody knows,
Like what the
let me
actual
know.
process looks like for different teams. I'm trying to see because I think when we were in arbitration, I'm going back to the beginning of my notebook here. We were 10 for 10. So
Yeah, the
whatever.
Dodgers came to terms with all of their arbitration eligible players.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. So it's 10 for 10 with all of them. They agreed to those numbers. Um, Whether, they kind of had to negotiate back and forth till they hit the right number, I don't know. I just know from the end result they were able to agree. So nobody and they were able to avoid those arbitration hearings. But even the numbers that some of these guys got here, like I mean, pretty decent for the year. So I guess it just depends.
I want to switch topics to something that shows that there is a redeeming quality in humanity. I don't want to end the show on this JD Davis story.
We're gonna put ourselves up out. Are we about to Care Bear stare? Let's do
We're gonna do a Care Bear stare over here, and I have tacos on my tummy, but um, the Dodgers once again have renewed the contract of Andrew Toles. And for those of you that are not familiar with the saga of Andrew Toles last played for the Dodgers in 2018. Since 2019, he has been on the restricted list. And what I find really interesting about this story, Amy, is that the Dodgers have always declined comment on this story as to why they renew Andrew Toll's contract. They've never publicly commented on the situation, but there is this belief that the reason why the Dodgers do this is so Andrew Toles can continue to have health care. Um, if that is, and at this point, I can see no other reason. Well, because he hasn't played since 2018. I can see no other reason that this is why the Dodgers are doing this.
Yeah, I actually got to see him play in 2018. He signed a baseball when he was playing with the minor league team. I got to see him up at the River Cats Stadium in Sacramento. But he's being treated for schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. So uh, even if they haven't made any comments on this in the past, if this is truly the sole reason for it, like I feel like this is the one day when his contract gets renewed every year that you don't see any negativity necessarily on Twitter because everybody's just like, slow clap, class act, way to go Dodgers, because they know like we're picking up somebody who who needs to have that bolstering. And it just, I mean, I echo what you're seeing on social media. Like it is a class act move, whether they've said anything about it or not, and we're just speculating. Like I truly don't know why else they would be picking up his contract or re-signing him every year. But if this truly is the reason, like it makes me smile.
It has been they have done a very good job of keeping this matter private. We do know that in 2020 he was arrested for trespassing on a trespassing charge behind a Florida airport, but he's also been in and out of 20 mental health facilities. And I know he is in the current care of his father. It is just one of those things that, like, I have been very, very critical of this organization at times. And it just shows the complex relationship I think that we all have with this Dodgers team, because there's been some off the field stuff that has happened with this organization and the way they've handled things that you kind of scratch your head, and or they're just simply, I just don't agree with how they chose to handle it. There's the Trevor Bauer situation. There's the situation with Julio Urias. There was the situation last year, the LGBTQ night with when they honored the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. So there have been many opportunities for me to have been critical, but then there's also been times where I feel they've gotten it right. And I think with Andrew Toles, whether we know, I kind of appreciate the fact that they don't tell us why they're doing it, but I am curious as to why all of a sudden everybody did come up with that same conclusion that it has to be for him to renew his health insurance, because I haven't heard Andrew Toles or Andrew Toles' family. Now, I know his father has been very appreciative of the Dodgers doing it, but I haven't heard anybody specifically say this is why the Dodgers are doing it. And I think I commend them for that too.
I like it better that way because you don't need the pat on the back if you're doing something good. You should be doing something good for the sake of that in and of itself. And I think that this decision of theirs embodies that, whatever the reason is, even if we all have come to the same conclusion. I like that they haven't said anything. I honestly appreciate that more.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a feel good story that happens every year. We look forward to the renewal of the Andrew Tolles. I hope that the one year we don't hear that the Dodgers didn't renew it, and it's because Andrew Tolles has now successfully been able to overcome whatever issues he's dealing with, and is doing much better and maybe no longer needs the help that maybe he has been receiving the last few years. But
Because it is all speculation on our part. I mean, for the entire population of social media, we're all assuming that this is what it's treating or this is what's happened. So in that respect, like I truly hope he gets what he needs, whatever that is.
that's right. So we wanted to send you on the weekend with a uplifting, promising story. We didn't want the last thing that you heard was the Giants screwing JD Davis out of $5 million.
At
So
2, San Francisco Giants at 2.
Nerd alert! Beware, beware. There is a nerd in the vicinity.
Hey man, someone's nerding out over here.
So that's going to do it for this episode of Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, any last words?
Get your tickets for the Chaquetas.
Yeah, we'd love to see you guys there. I think Amy and I are going to try to make an effort to be there for the April 13th game when they're giving out the replica Chaquetas jersey. And if we are there, please make sure to come out and say hi to us. We'd love to meet you. We want to help grow the show. And you know how you can help grow the show? If you're listening right now on the audio portion of the show, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button, give us the thumbs up, leave us comments, and follow us on our social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, Threads, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You have been listening, watching another episode of Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.